Thanks for joining me, Mr. P, for Chapter 21 of FAKER. Amazingly, I fall asleep the instant my head hits the pillow, and the next thing I know, it's Saturday morning. I'm so refreshed and energized from a night with no tossing and turning that I bound out of bed and throw on some clothes like a man on a mission, which is what I am. Talking to Logan on the deck last night revealed a lot. It was like his pain was my pain. I'm positive that the reason I finally got a decent night's sleep is because his confession proved that I'm not the only kid living this weird, distorted life. And I'm determined to tell him, face to face, what I didn't have the guts to tell him last night. The truth. The Kirkwoods are fakers too, same as the Romanos. We're not even really the Kirkwoods, just like their name will probably be something different too. It won't change anything. The heat will still be on. The FBI will still be out there in those cable web vans, and the family will still have to leave. I just want to show him he's not alone. That's all. If I get to know it, he should know it too. Sure, it's dangerous. I lived more than 12 years without ever doing it, and I probably shouldn't start now. But if something can make Logan feel even a millionth of 1% better about himself, then I have to chance it. Besides, it might not be as risky as it seems on the surface. I don't think Logan will betray my secret. But if I'm wrong about that, he still can't blab about me because I can always blab right back about him. Both our families have too much to lose for either of us to spill the beans. Ariana's still asleep and I can hear Dad rattling around in the kitchen. I tiptoe down the stairs and slip out the back door. I head to the lake and turn along the shore toward the Romanos' crossing backyards. I'm striding it at first, but as I think about my conversation with Logan, I break into a jog and then run. The house comes into view with its squarish modern design and gigantic picture windows. The blinds are down. I approach the slider and knock. I put my nose to the glass and peer through a gap in the vertical blinds. No one is in the living room, but one thing is very clear. The walls are bare. That tells me everything I need to know. In the Romano home, every inch of wall space is covered in art. Paintings, etchings, drawings, animated cells, tapestries. They're all gone. I try the door. It's unlocked and readily slides open. I step inside and look around. The furniture is still in place, even the 75-inch flat screen and sound system. But without the wall hangings, the place seems totally alien to me, even though it's practically my second home in Box Elder. Logan? I call. A little louder. Anybody here? My voice echoes through the house. Or maybe that's just how it feels because I recognize exactly what's happened here. I've been through it myself, time and time again. This is a Houdini. The Romanos probably call it something else, but there's no mistaking it. They're gone, taking their fake art with them to sell in their next life, whatever that may be. Wherever that may be. I feel myself deflating like a balloon. I'm too late. I wanted to talk to Logan, but I missed him. This could be the last time we ever see each other, he said last night. Another thing he was being honest about while I kept up my lies. A forlorn figure comes down the elegant half staircase, tail high, whiskers drooping. Mona Lisa walks up to me and rubs against my ankle. They left her? Like the kitchen table and the TV? Like she doesn't count? Anger wells up inside me. How could anybody do that, even during a Houdini? How could Logan? Then I noticed a folded square of paper under her collar, bothering the soft fur at her neck. I pluck it free and open it up. There's a single word in Logan's block printing. Kirkwood. And just as quickly, I'm calm again. This isn't a message, it's a name change. She's my cat now, a parting gift from a best friend. Come on, Mona, I tell her, let's go home. I pick her up and carry her out the front door. I'm following the road now rather than the lake. As I make my way along the sidewalk, the van from Cable Web Communications is parking a couple of doors down from the Romanos. Tough luck, you guys, I think to myself. They're already gone. I almost laugh. But then it occurs to me that I'm walking past a truck full of undercover FBI agents, and it's all I can do to keep from breaking into a run. Oh, sure, this team is after the Romanos, not us. But if they knew who my family is and what we're up to, they'd scoop me up in a heartbeat. Meow, Mona complains because I'm gripping her too tightly. Even so, I can't relax until the parked van is well behind me. When I glance over my shoulder, I see a pair of beady eyes reflected in the side mirror. I swear they're watching my every move. It's only when the van disappears around the bend in the road that my shoulders come down from the level of my ears and I can breathe again. What am I supposed to do now? It was bad enough that I didn't tell my father about the emails from ICall because I didn't want to risk triggering a Houdini. But what about this? I just strolled by a van load of FBI agents while carrying the cat belonging to the family that they're spying on. If anything deserves a Houdini, it's federal agents camped out this close to your house. I'd love to stay in Box Elder forever, but even I have to admit, this is just too risky. I've practically turned myself inside out trying to put off the inevitable, but it's here, and it's now. Step 1, go home. Step 2, tell Dad. Step 3, start packing. I rack my brain for a way to insert a half step where I go over to Kaylee's and try to explain myself or maybe just say goodbye. But what would I tell her? Sorry, we stole your college fund and your parents' retirement? And what about all the others? Lena, the Otomoas, Teresa, Kevin, Floyd, Janelle, Franco. What about the Sings, the Aubreys, the Zabrakians, and the Xanders? What we did can't be explained away. We're thieves. It's as simple as that. And anyway, there's no time for one goodbye, never mind all of them. That's another thing about Houdinis. They're immediate. Once you say the word, the clock is ticking. Our house comes into view, the El Capitan gleaming in the driveway. We have a garage, but Dad never uses it. Now I'm waiting to have his shiny red Batmobile on display like a billboard for the investment of the century. I remember the first time I saw it that day at Albion Pond. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever laid eyes on. I was so proud that my father was behind the wheel of such a masterpiece. And when my friends started raving about it, I thought my heart would jump out of my chest with sheer pride. Well, it's every bit as beautiful today, and I hate it. That car ruined my life. It represents everything evil that I've ever been a part of, and it's the reason I have to leave the only town where I've ever felt at home. There it sits. 5,000 pounds of phony baloney. A gigantic hunk of criminal evidence against my family and me. That's why I've got no choice but to set off this Houdini. It's because of this sparkling ruby fraud. The idea never even fully forms in my mind. It's more like once I've started it, there's no stopping me. I set Logan's cat down on the grass. Wait right here, Mona. There's something I have to do. I run into the house and grab the El Capitan keys from the peg above the hall table. Trey? Dad calls from the kitchen. That you? I don't answer. I storm back outside, unlock the car, reach in, and shift into neutral. With the driver's door open, I brace my body against the frame, grab hold of the wheel, and push it with all my might. The car is heavy, but it's on a slope. I hear a crunching sound as the tires begin to move on the pavement. I hear something else. The front door. Trey? And Dad's scrambling feet. Trey, what the blazes are you doing? My father's voice provides the shot of adrenaline that moves the El Capitan past the point of no return. Just before it rolls away from me, I give the wheel a frantic twist. The car misses the garage by inches, crashes through the bushes, and starts down the grade that leads to Lake Persimmon. No! Dad hurdles the bushes and actually manages to get two hands on the open door, but by then gravity has taken over. Picking up speed as it goes, the car jounces down the slope, hits the small dock, and launches itself out over the water. For an instant, it seems to hang in the air, glittering in the morning sun. Then it plunges with a gigantic splash into the lake. Within a few seconds, it sinks out of sight in an eruption of bubbles, large and small. There are no words to describe the expression on my father's face. The shock tension in his body threatens to launch him into outer space. Now scratch that. I'm the one who's about to be launched. I might even deserve it. But to my surprise, I'm not afraid. However upset Dad is right now, I'm no match for it. This is a showdown that's been a long time coming. I stomp around the side of the house to where he stands, still staring at the spot on the lake where the last few tiny bubbles are breaking the surface. That needed to happen, I inform him. He wheels on me, eyes blazing. Oh, really? Enlighten me. Trey, explain why the most important thing in our lives needed to disappear like someone hit it with a death ray from Star Wars. I almost backed down then. This is my father, the center of my universe. At least since my mother left, and I barely remember a time before that. For most of my life, I've looked up to this man more than anybody else on earth. Even now, I still admire his intelligence, his creativity, his coolness, under fire, and his people skills. Never in my 12 plus years could I have imagined turning against him in any way. He's Dad. Mic drop. Enough said. But this situation is just too important. Well, for starters, I tell him, that TV truck we always see, Cable Web Communications, it's full of FBI agents. At the mention of the name FBI, my father freezes in his tracks, all business. How do you know? Logan told me. How would he know? The Romanos are like us, Dad, I explained. They're the ones the FBI is watching. They're phony art dealers and they just pulled a Houdini. They're gone. Instantly, his head turns to the house. He's looking at a brick wall, but I know that behind that wall is a living room where the Vertogen drawing hangs. Yeah, it's fake, I confirm. But at least the El Capitan shares we traded for it are fake too. My father regards me with a new respect. You did the right thing. I wish you'd told me first. We could have taken care of it together, but anytime the FBI is buzzing around is a good time to close up shop. There's more, I say. What more could there be? He asks. We're leaving, obviously. I have to figure out transportation because we seem to be between cars at the moment. I know a guy. You're not listening to me, I interrupt. I'm out. Of course we're out, he agrees. The money's in cryptocurrency already, so all we have to do is wake up your sister, get to an airport, and pick a destination. I've heard a lot of good things about Fiji. Not that kind of out. I mean, out of the business. Out of this life. I can't take it anymore. I hate moving every few months. I'm afraid to get comfortable anywhere, knowing pretty soon that the axe will fall and you'll whisper, Houdini. I can't stand making another friend group only to have to disappear on them. But more than anything else, what we do is just plain wrong. We're crooks, pure and simple. We live off of what we steal. And all that stuff about how we only take from people who can afford it? Well, maybe we try, but the Novaks are proof that it doesn't always work out that way. Not that it's fine to rip off anybody. Sorry, Dad, but I quit. My father stiffens. That's not your call to make. You may be a full partner, but you're only 12. Everybody starts to question their family's choices as they get older. I understand that, but 12 is still the age where you live the life your parents decide you're going to have. You can't quit. I'm your father, and I don't accept your resignation. I sit down right there on the grass. I'm not leaving Box Elder. He casts me a scornful look. This is your solution? To pitch a fit like you did when you were 2? That won't get you very far. It doesn't have to get me far, I retort. It just has to get me up the street as far as that FBI van. They're after the Romanos, but that'll change pretty fast when I explain who we are. You'd do that to your family? He says, in his voice ice cold. I'd give you and Ariana a chance to get away first. You can have your Houdini. But I'm not going with you this time. I've made up my mind that I won't be a part of it anymore. His anger seems to melt away, to be replaced by a genuine alarm. He's no longer the head of our sleazy business. He's a concerned father. Listen to yourself. Don't you understand what this means? You're just a kid. You'd be turning yourself into an orphan, a ward of the state for the next 6 years. The fact that he's speaking as my dad rather than a professional con man trying to wriggle out of a tight corner makes this 10 times harder for me. But I can't back down. Somehow I know that if I don't take this escape hatch now, I'll never get out. I do understand, I assure him. I get that I'll end up with social services and a whole lot of problems that I don't have today. And it'll be hard to lose my family. You and Ariana are all I've ever known, but here's the thing, it's worth it. Even if you take away the Houdinis and the moving and the lost friends, it would be worth it to be able to look at myself in the mirror and see an honest face looking back at me. His features harden. I could lock you in your room, you know. I don't want to, but I will if it's the only way to keep you from making a terrible mistake. I know he means it, not because he's cruel or because he wants to show me who's boss. He's protecting our family. In his mind, he's saving me from myself. Sure, you can lock me in my room, I agree, but you can't keep me there forever. Sooner or later, I'll have to go to school or see a doctor or something, and I'll head straight to the cops. I'm doing this, Dad, no matter what you decide. I'm not going to be a faker anymore. Now, my father just seems sad. I won't lie to you, Trey. I could tell your attitude was changing. I just didn't think you would go this far. I see an opening and I jump at it. It doesn't have to be just me. We can all get out. You too. You had no clue the Romanos were swindlers. You didn't even notice that a van load of FBI agents parked under your nose. You're the best there is, but sooner or later you'll slip up and they'll put you away for a long time. And then what happens to Ariana and me? He's still listening, making no attempt to cut me off. He radiates confidence the way light comes off the sun, but the possibility of prison has to worry him more than he lets on. Not just for himself, also because with him out of the picture, what would become of his kids? Family is everything. Family is forever. Family is the top priority. I press my advantage. Ariana needs a change more than any of us. She loves this life way over the top, and she's turning into something you don't want her to be. Think about what she tried to do with that blank check. She thought that was just fine. And she tortured me for weeks with phony emails pretending to be someone who knew the truth about El Capitan. If you can't quit for me, do it for Ariana before she gets herself into real trouble. To my surprise, he nods slowly. I do think about your sister. In a way, she reminds me of myself. Maybe too much. There was a time when it would have crushed me to hear him say Ariana is his true successor. Not anymore. I don't want to be the world's greatest con artist. I just want to be me. Dad goes on. But it's not so simple to make the kind of changes you're suggesting. Right now, we're in the middle of the most successful operation we've ever had. We have dozens of investors. We can't just wave a magic wand and undo it. I thought about that, I tell him readily. We announced that there are tech problems with El Capitan. Everything is on hold until the design can be fixed. It could take years, so we're refunding all the investment money. My father takes a step backward. All of it? I nod. Every cent. The FBI was never onto us. They're after the Romanos. They'll take off on that trail and we'll be in the clear. Dad looks gloom. Refund. I hate that word. Mona wanders over and climbs into my lap. I stroke her soft fur. It's worth it because we'll be able to live our lives. Ariana and I can go to school in Box Elder. If the point is too expensive, we can move someplace cheaper. To Albion, maybe. All this luxury is nice, but it isn't necessary. You always said it yourself. Family is top priority. Mona's still in my arms. I struggle to my feet and stand opposite my father. We're like two gunfighters in the Old West, staring each other down. We're silent for a painfully long time. Or maybe it just seems long because what happens next is very, very important. Finally, Dad says, I've talked a lot of people out of a lot of money, but it would have taken a lot more than my skills to talk myself into going straight. Congratulations, Trey. The student has become the teacher. My heart soars, but I can't celebrate until I hear him say it. We're officially out of business? For the family. I can tell that the fact that it's for his kids makes it easier for him to give in. We share a father-son hug, squashing Mona between us. I'm not embarrassed to admit that I shed a few well-placed tears. Not because I'm sad, but because I'm so happy. All right, my father goes on. Ditch that grubby cat and we'll get down to figuring out how this is going to work. I pat her silky head. Sorry, Dad. Mona is part of the deal. She's my cat now. Since there won't be any more Houdinis, we don't need a no pets rule. He sticks a finger halfway through my chest. Don't push it. I shrug. She has no other place to go. He eyes the calico with distaste. Any more unpleasant surprises? I shake my head. And I meant what I said about moving out of the point if money's tight. Ariana and I will do whatever it takes. A self-satisfied smirk appears on my father's face. Funny thing about that, I put the El Capitan money into a cryptocurrency that went through the roof this past month, so we'll be able to make all the refunds and still turn a tidy profit. It's not the big kahuna, but think of it as a mini kahuna. I groan. How will I ever convince Dad that crime doesn't pay when it always pays so handsomely? Oh, and that was the end of chapter 21. Thanks for joining me. We got one more chapter left.